There are over 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. government has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies these as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us as Mack, Juan-Juan, and Commander Cobra explore these unsolved cases, UFO incidents that even baffle the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us tonight. Ooh, I better first say that we have a really big shoe for you tonight. But first, in the studio with us tonight, 19 weeks in a row.
That's right. It's like 19-0.
19-0. Famous, very famous Juan-Juan is here.
That's right. How's it going, Mac?
It's going very well. 19 weeks is 19. That'll be the lucky number because, see, you're on a streak, and you should stop the streak now. We're always talking about how streaks hurt people.
That's right.
19 would be the number of games the Patriots would have to win to get one for the other thumb, apparently.
Right.
And so, maybe that's maybe that is the lucky number. Maybe you should
take the next week off or Skype in or something.
Or something, yeah, right. But, we're off next week, so maybe it's a moot point.
Good, okay.
Anyway.
It's moot.
We'll see. We'll talk it over with management. So Juan-Juan is here. However, the commander is not with us tonight. Coco.
No.
Not here.
I saw a chopper go over my head this morning, and I was thinking of him.
He's having dinner with a Medal of Honor winner. How about that in Boston tonight? He's going to report about that, next time we hear from him. But he travels in those circles, and he knows these people, and so he's going to have dinner with a Medal of Honor winner, which I think would be very cool.
It would be.
Maybe
he can file a report tonight.
He's thinking of that, but he'll
go in the men's room and then call in.
Okay, well, hopefully, I was going to say he'd be on 95. I didn't think of the men's room aspect, but there'd be a nice echo to his voice anyway. And it would sound like he was near a babbling brook, perhaps,
Calling live from stall number 3.
Right, there you go. Someone turn on the hand dryer and it sounds like, here comes the bad weather. Anyway, on the show tonight, we have a very special guest. Juan-Juan, you told me a few weeks ago, let's class up the show. So I've gotten a whole bevy of blondes and other, brunettes and so on. We've had regular guests for the past 2 or 3 months.
People sent in their photos and you picked them out?
Classed up the show.
Wow.
As requested.
Nice.
Going in another direction.
Any cheerleaders or something?
Okay. That's Ixnay. Okay, let's...
all right.
In a further attempt to class up the show tonight, we're going to have a doctor on, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, who is a physicist, has done a lot of work in the UFO community, and has just written a book called 3 Minutes in June about the first flying saucer, quote-unquote flying saucer encounter back in 1947.
Wow.
Great. This is a book that's been begging to be written, and he has done it, okay? So he's going to be joining us, and I've asked the crew to come together with some questions that you've always wanted to ask a physicist. Okay, I have 2 of them.
Every time I go to a party, I go, "Damn, we still don't have a physicist here."
There you go. Yeah. Well, these days they're probably waiting on you or something. But they don't get paid that much money. But anyway, I just have 2 questions I'm going to ask him and Switch, and also Rob is going to have questions for him. So. If you can noodle out a question what you've always wanted to ask physicists.
Yep.
I already asked him my NFL question, how to get an algorithm for the best results for betting teams.
You're trying to bring the funny, though, in that question. Right?
No, I was serious. I gotta put this in 2 weeks, And he didn't know what I was talking about, and he told me so. So
all right. But he didn't even want to fake it either.
No.
Okay.
No, just searching for an algorithm, and which is tough because I'm not even really sure what an algorithm is, but I know I need one. Anyway, so that's the show tonight. But a couple of things. Well, first of all, all kidding aside, sad day in the
you were
showbiz.
kidding. What were you kidding about?
I don't know. I can't remember back that far. You know what? I'm going to give you the first one of the night.
Okay.
How's that?
I'm paying attention to every word, you know.
Good. Okay.
We're all serious here on the show.
Yes.
Except when we're not.
Right. But we have to get serious now because it's a sad day in the entertainment biz because as we were talking coming up to the station, Glenn Campbell died today, people of the future. And a lot of people don't know, the real Glenn Campbell. A lot of people remember him from the Glenn Campbell Hour or whatever it was back then. And they came out and they really made him portray himself like a hick and so on, okay? Mm-hmm. And but first of all, number one, he's a fantastic guitar player.
Yes.
Fantastic guitar player. He didn't look it. He just didn't look it, but man, could he play.
He was blasé about it. When you're playing, it's like, I do this in my sleep.
Yeah, effortless playing,
Yeah.
Which is always kind of cool. And he played guitar on a lot of his hits. He had a lot of great hits, many of them written by Jimmy Webb, who wrote By the Time I Get to Phoenix and Galveston and so on. But he also played for the Beach Boys for a long, long time.
Right.
People don't realize that he toured with the Beach Boys for a long time. He's on a lot of Beach Boys records because he was part of the Wrecking Crew, which was really the real band making music for the Beach Boys.
He was on everybody's records.
Right, exactly. And
backed up Cher, I think. And
everyone. Every
you name it.
Every hit in the U.S. And from the mid-'60s to, really into the 70s and beyond, the Wrecking Crew, good chance that they're involved.
Right.
Everyone. All these bands like the Association and Jan Dean and these people, it was just cheaper for the Wrecking Crew to, do the backing track than to have these five guys who, met in a garage trying to figure it out.
It's so amazing because when you listen to the Wrecking Crew, you say, well, what does the Wrecking Crew sound like? They sounded like everybody they
Everyone
backed
else.
up.
Yeah, right, yeah.
They didn't have their own signature sound.
No, not at all. They had about 50 signature sounds.
Right.
The guy who used to be in that band, The Knack, he had the best quote about the Wrecking Crew. He said, Hal Blaine was the drummer for the Wrecking Crew, and he's on everything, that guy, and he's an incredible drummer. And he said, before the Wrecking Crew, when I found out about Hal Blaine, I realized that he was 10 of my favorite drummers. He thought Paul Revere and the Raiders, that guy, hey, he's really good. Hey, the guy in the Association is really good. Hey, Dennis Wilson is, really good.
Not bad.
It's all Hal Blaine.
Even when he was dead, the drummer was really good.
Boom. So anyway, but Glenn Campbell, just a really, really good musician.
Yeah.
Just a good musician, singer, performer. He was in movies. He's in a couple of John Wayne movies and stuff.
Artists would drop into the studio almost unannounced, I think, sometimes, and they say, "Okay, here's the song. Let's flesh it out, and we'll do our first take in about an hour."
Yes, right. And they do it, and they'd be done in an hour, and it'd be a hit song like about a week later. Okay, and that was the thing about these guys is that they could come up, and they weren't all guys. There's a
gal on bass.
Carol Kay played bass on all of Beach Boys songs. She
Speaking
came up
of Glenn Campbell, she came up with one of the opening riffs on one of the songs. Right.
Sonny and Cher stuff. She was like the riff master, and they would she'd
boom,
say
boom, boom, boom,
boom, boom, boom.
That was her.
Boom.
That was her. She figured it out.
Yeah. So and that's what they they could go. They were quick studies to the max, and they were also getting paid unbelievable money for back then. I mean, these guys lived in mansions, lived on yachts, and so on because it was just so economical for the record biz. Not known for their generosity or anything.
Right.
To make records. To make records quick, the Monkees, of course. Anyway, Glenn Campbell was a big part of that, and he died today. It's just too bad. But, a really good musician.
Yeah.
Another giant, literally a monster in the showbiz world, died today as well.
Who was that?
The guy who was the first guy to put on the Godzilla, outfit, costume.
Really?
For Tokyo Films. Yeah, he did 12 movies as Godzilla.
Was he at the festival recently?
I doubt it. Because they've made 20. I think there's 22 Godzilla movies. He made the first 12.
So he had to be getting up there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was like in his 90s.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. He had a good life.
First guy to put on the costume. His name was Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As it turns out.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
How do you do this in Japanese? But he. Lois Lane just gave me a news flash as I was coming up here. In fact, They said back then Japan was so low on supplies they didn't have enough rubber for the suit, so they just apparently poured concrete into like his legs and stuff, and had him like sit in the concrete and move them that way. They'd harden around him. Okay, wow. But you don't have enough rubber for a guy in a suit.
So that's why it looks so weird.
Yeah, you know how he walks is very strange.
Right.
You know,
when he's knocking down buildings, they said, "Gee, he must be hurting his knee there."
Yeah, or something. He probably has ace bandages on it by movie 24. Keith Emerson did the music for a Godzilla movie. He did the music for Godzilla 2000 because his wife was Japanese. Okay,
I didn't know that either.
And he lived over there, and it's crazy. You know, it's like really crazy Emerson, Lake and Palmer music, but you can recognize it. And in this one,
I recognize his playing everywhere.
Yeah, and he did like the whole orchestration on computers. In this one, Godzilla gets married. Okay, he really does. I think it's Godzilla 16.
Who's he marry? Rodan or something?
No, he marries like a female Godzilla.
Okay.
Rodan, that would be sick. Come on.
Hey.
Rodan's a bird and Godzilla's a reptile.
She's a hot bird, you know?
There you go. Very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so big loss today in the entertainment industry.
Well, I'll say.
The people in Variety are going to have to really sit down and figure out what headline to go with.
Exactly.
But I'm going to cheer you up now,
good.
Juan-Juan.
How?
Okay. The New England Patriots are going to be starting this season
My
very
team.
soon. And as we were coming in today, Juan-Juan first he showed me his pride and joy as a catalog for Tom Brady, right?
That's right.
Tom?
The Sports Illustrated special issue.
Wow. TB12 turns 40. Holy cow. Can I
Looks
say that?
good, too.
Sports Illustrated. I don't like that picture on Sports Illustrated, man. That's bad luck.
No kidding.
That's bad luck. Jeez.
He's on the cover. If you go to the magazine rack, you'll see him on the cover of just about every football-related magazine.
Oh, man, I just don't like this. I don't like this.
He's already on the cover of, Madden?
Oh,
That's
is it
supposed
really?
that's supposed to be the kiss of death
Is it
already.
really? Well, what is he doing that for?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like they just snagged him and said you're on the cover whether you like it or not.
You have to go through a lot of stuff to
See, he doesn't believe in any of that stuff anyway.
Well, I hope he's right.
not fazed about curses or anything weird like that. He's so focused and so together
And
that it doesn't matter.
as it turned out, one also came in with a birthday cake.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Tom Brady. Happy birthday, Tom Brady.
Happy 40th birthday.
40th birthday. What was that, yesterday? Did he turn 40?
Last Thursday.
Really? Now, how many people would buy the cake? But you take the cake, literally. So we're going to eat this thing or what?
Yeah, I got knives and plates and
Okay, we have
can-
beer.
we can eat it.
We
we have liquid and we can have a slice during break.
Excellent. I can't wait.
I was going to say have a piece, but then you'd be hitting the,
No, come on.
the sound effect thing. See? I know.
Hold the rim shut. Anyway, yes, and one last thing. Next week, next time we're going to take next week off, but people of the future, you won't notice. But our next coming live show, Mitch Stinson, the comedian, Navy pilot turned comedian, is going to sit in with us for the night.
Oh, that's great.
It will be good. And we're going to be talking about different military-related things, the veterans and stuff. I got a story. I'm not going to tell it tonight, man. I'll tell it that night about how the Veterans Administration in this country is a disgrace.
It's an abomination.
An absolute disgrace.
Yep.
And wait to hear this story. I don't want to, bring the energy down by telling it. So, but Mitch will be good. He'll be here for the funny. He's a Navy pilot who turned comedian. Really funny. We went to go see him a couple weeks ago.
Was he down at Giggles?
Down at Giggles. Great set. The other two people, also really good. A good show.
Yeah.
We were really laughing, okay? And then I went back to Giggles this Friday.
Yep.
Big mistake.
Why?
Jackie the Joke Man Motley.
Oh, yeah? From Howard Stern? Yep.
Yeah, he was there. And also Lenny Clark.
Lenny Clark.
Okay?
What's bad about that so far?
Well, I guess I just didn't get Lenny's humor, let's say. Okay. I thought he'd be like a tad funnier than he was. And
you know what? He said he was going to be toning it down a little bit because of the roast. And he says when he does some of these gigs now, he tones it down just a tad. But he was that boring?
Yes. If you've been to any comedy show ever, you would have heard 80% of those jokes. Making fun of the first guy in the first row.
He did the Rob Gronkowski roast.
Oh, right. I saw that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And he was pretty good, right?
And he was doing
He wanted to make sure he doesn't get sued.
he's doing Obama jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, really, read
Yeah.
the newspaper there, dude. It's been a while. Anyway, so that was really bad, but I had ordered a big plate of meatballs because it's an Italian restaurant,
Right.
so I had
Formerly Prince Spaghetti House or something.
right.
Yep.
Still is. Jackie Matling comes out now. I was a big fan of Stern years
Sure,
ago,
me too.
and they were funny back then.
Yep.
He's been off the show for about 12 years, believe it or not. Even
Wow.
more. Basically, he does one-liners, and then he laughs, and everyone laughs at him laughing. And
That's a good gig if you
Yeah.
can get it.
so anyway, about halfway through that, I finished my meatballs, and my brother and I just got up and we walked out.
How were the meatballs?
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, it's really good food there. Prince Spaghetti
Yeah.
House is really good, and Giggles is attached to it.
I haven't been there in years, but
It's nice. It's good. It's a good place to go. And we've gone there. We've laughed really laughed. Except the other night, it was just not funny, and we were expecting it to be.
see, that's too
funny.
bad.
Yeah. So anyway,
They had two funny guys there.
well, allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is for nothing. So why don't we take a commercial break?
Yep.
And when we come back, we're going to talk to some fascinating guest or team member. I'm not sure which.
Okay.
But
How do we do this? We flip a coin and see
yeah,
who
we'll
we're
flip
gonna
a coin. That's the scientific way. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Over the years, Air Force Major Hawk Hunter and his band of patriotic fighter pilots have fought tirelessly to reunite a fractured America, devastated by a Russian sneak attack. Now, returning from a mysterious space odyssey, Hunter finds a huge Russian army occupying New York City, ready to invade the rest of America. Buzzing through the city's skyscraper canyons in a tiny top-secret ghost plane and seeing the invaders' massive weaponry for himself, Hawk realizes he's up against the greatest danger his homeland has ever faced. But equally alarming are reports claiming that Hawk's former girlfriend, Dominique, is living with the head of the Russian secret police in a Manhattan penthouse. Is she his prisoner, or is she something else? With the woman and the country he loves in dire peril, Hawk Hunter, the wingman, will apply all his aviation prowess to launch the most crucial battle for America yet, no matter what the risks. Filled with fast-paced action, a wide range of aircraft and military hardware, Battle for America brings back your favorite characters from earlier books in the Wingman series and delivers a riveting story that reveals new insight on America's most famous hero, the Wingman. That's Wingman 18, The Battle for America, on sale now at Amazon.com and available at your local bookstore.
Hi, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you are listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show on Distant Thunder Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. It's Mack in the studio with us tonight. Very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Oh,
19 weeks in a row.
19-0 right now. That's my recent record.
Right.
Nobody's going to touch this record.
Yeah, no. Who'd want to when you really think about it, right? So, anyway. The Cobra is not here. The Cobra is having dinner in Boston with a Medal of Honor winner. So good for him.
I wonder if he's wearing his flight suit.
I hope not.
You know, helmet, glasses.
He's been known to do that.
Looks like Major Mudd.
Yeah,
You know.
right. Real Boston reference, but anyway.
Steve, you remember Major Mudd?
No, Major Mudd was Boston, dude.
I don't, but I kind of got the gist of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was like the local. He was the guy. He was the MC for the Three Stooges show. He'd come out dressed up like a.
Oh, we had a Sergeant Sacto over here.
There you go. Right. Yeah, Major Mudd. So, in the previous segment, I was teasing a good news story for you for the Patriots, and I realized, Juan, I didn't even say it. So now I am going to say
Okay,
it.
let's deliver on the
big
tease.
news today that the New England Patriots are the first NFL team to buy their own airplanes. Okay, they bought 2 airplanes today, Boeing 767s, and they're going to be all first class and lined out like crazy, and it's just going to be luxury the whole way, and even like workout.
They took out all the seats. Every seat is first class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every seat is first class, right? But I think they were actually put like little gyms on them.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
And stuff like that.
Kidding?
Yeah,
Really?
you can imagine what it's going to be like. But I think what's very cool is that they're painting them in the team colors, and the tail fin, the big tail fin, is going to have pictures of all 5 rings on it.
No, really, I didn't hear that. Really,
that was cool. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
That is wicked cool.
So only you people who live in New England can understand. Everyone else is going, oh man, those a-holes, can't believe it, But yeah, they bought their own planes today. That's how successful.
2 of them, right?
2 of them, yeah. Yeah, in case one breaks down, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
Steve, you got to love it, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. That voice you hear in the coming from the cosmos there is Switcherino, Steve Ward up there in the Bowl of Flakes, Battle Creek, Michigan. How you doing there tonight, Steve?
Well, Mac, I'm doing so good that mere mortals probably can't even begin to grasp just how damn good I am.
Wow, holy cow. You see,
only Superman could grasp it.
No, here's the thing. He's writing the speech, and now he's in his writing mode, okay?
Right.
Very well put.
Is that how it works, Mac?
I don't know.
You got to put yourself in the story.
Well, more or less.
You're walking around in the story.
No, that never happens. He took a long, long nap and left the TV on. That's more like it.
I
Anyway,
heard that works.
That's the reality of it. So, Steve, what's new with you? Well, we should say that you're going to be giving the speech at the Big Mothman Festival in September, right?
That's right. Third weekend in September.
Okay.
I'll be the speakers on Saturday and Sunday. I'll be the first speaker at noon on Sunday.
Okay, cool. So people can skip Mass to go see you. And and it's in
We go Saturday night.
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
The festival is free. There's vendors, there's lecturers, there's all kinds of amusements for the kids and everything. It's,
and for the adults.
Bigger and bigger every year.
Amusement for the adults too. Are they? I mean, they're still doing stuff like having a Mothman fly over the crowd and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Actually, also Saturday night I'm going to be giving one of the tours in the dreaded TNT area.
Yes,
where the Mothman was first seen.
Okay, cool.
And there's a pretty good chance you're going to see him fly over sometime that night.
That's great, man. People, I mean, I don't know anyone out there who might not know about what Mothman is, but basically back in the 60s, people in this town in West Virginia started seeing this, what looked like more like an owl man than a Mothman. But he was of great size, and he would chase people out of this TNT area. People would be up there parking and making out and so on. And there were reports with a lot of witnesses of this thing like flying over kind of like 90 miles an hour going down a highway and stuff like that. And people saw these things. Lots of people there saw this being, for some months afterwards. There's a lot of documented evidence. And then there's all kinds of crazy stuff. The Men in Black showed up, and then there was a tragedy on a bridge that leads from this town over into Cincinnati, collapsed during Christmas time, killed a lot of people. A lot of people seem to lump that in with the general, down the funkiness that was happening, with the Mothman. They did a pretty good movie, not a bad movie. We talked about it a few weeks ago with Richard Gere. It was okay. If you didn't know the story, you kind of get
it was
story.
A decent film. It kind of it wasn't a blow for blow for the of the book, but John Keel said of the movie, he said they really captured the mood and the paranoia that he felt as a researcher in that area.
Right. Yeah. So it's an interesting story, and like I said, I love stuff that has a lot of documented evidence, and yet you're always kind of finding new stuff out all the time. So the Big Mothman Festival down in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, third week in September, and Switcherino is going to be one of the speakers. So I know you're working hard at that speech.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to tell any jokes?
Well, I might. There's some of my friends there are fairly well known, so a couple of those guys will probably be my foil a couple of times.
Okay.
So, there'll be a few sight gags here and there.
So are you going to start with a joke, or are you going to lead into the joke, or do you know yet?
Well, I'm going to do things like I'm going to talk about my age. You know, when I hit the festival, I'm only going to be a month away from being eligible for Medicare. Okay, let's everybody groan on that one.
All right.
And I'm going to be talking about how occasionally during this talk I'm going to be waxing nostalgic for the good old days, and I'll talk about the way things were back then. You know, and some of it'll be, there'll be a serious point to it. But for example, back in the old days, we didn't have to put up with the grays. You know, we had some really cool humanoids. They were all kinds of descriptions. It wasn't until about the 1980s that these little creeps started to show up.
Yes.
And even some researchers say that they didn't really show up until the 90s in South America. You know, you got to wonder why that is. Is it the perception of these things changing, or is a facade or some kind of way it's presenting itself changing?
Well, but is that true that people weren't into the grays until?
Well, I guess you could find, a case now and then. It looked even Betty and Barney Hill. Those aliens weren't really grays. They were something maybe kind of a hybrid gray, but they were different.
Wow.
So that's really
was the picture was
very odd.
So what are the grays? Just
Well, they're the little short dudes with the big heads and the big black eyes.
Oh, okay.
No emotion.
Close encounters.
And they're kind of the classic, if somebody's going to draw an alien or you see one in an advertisement.
I think I saw one on The Simpsons.
Use. Yeah,
yeah. There was a book published called 1973, Year of the Humanoid. That was a really big year. And I don't think there was one report of any alien that really looked like a gray in the whole time.
Huh. Wow.
So
that's strange how, what people report, kind of, there'll be almost fads of them or something, almost like they're seeing, well, this race landed here during these years. A lot of people saw them, and then, who knows,
Well, then I'm going to be talking about the folklore connection that Jacques Vallée talked about.
Oh, yes, okay.
And that really gets, there's many, many connections there that, give people pause when they first hear it.
Right. Well, if you need any help on the jokes, we can put you in touch with Dribbles the clown. That's
okay, you never know.
Well, I was thinking, what airport is nearby?
I don't know. It's Gallipolis, Ohio is across the bridge.
Okay. You
Columbus,
just say, hey,
Columbus is maybe an hour and a half away.
Columbus International Airport.
So he said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, glad to be here.
West Virginia.
Glad to be here. And I just flew in this morning to whatever airport, and Mothman just dropped me off. So.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Never mind.
I will consider that one. I'll consider that.
Well, make a list. And anyway.
All right.
So before we, all right, we'll let's talk about the sighting from the 50s that you're going to talk about. But by the end of the segment, we have to get your question for the physicist. Okay. And you know who the physicist is? Did I tell you?
Yeah. Bruce Maccabee?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bruce Maccabee? Yeah.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Very, very interesting guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes, we sure are.
Okay. December 1956. Guy Delaunay. He was stationed at Mitchell Air Force Base in New York. Now, Mitchell Air Force Base had been a military post, was involved in many of the major conflicts. All the way up until 1961 when it was closed down.
Mm-hmm.
And this was originally Mitchell Field. It had, some historical significance. James Doolittle gave the first public demonstration of blind flying in 1929.
Oh, wow. Jimmy Doolittle.
And there were several other, it was a kind of an important, played an important role in history at various times.
Is it down near the city or is it up in the boondocks?
That's a good question that I should have checked out.
I think it's down near the city for some reason, Mitchell Field.
It could be.
I've heard of it before, but, please continue.
Okay. Now, this guy Delaunay, when he talks about this incident, he actually didn't reveal it till about 1973. He was a student at a Bible seminary in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Good reputation with friends and acquaintances for honesty and sincerity, and that's kind of important when you're going to hear his story here. Now there was he didn't reveal it until he met a guy named Robert D. Berry. Mm. Berry in 1973 ran he called it the 20th Century UFO Bureau, which is long defunct.
Okay.
And this is an older case, but it's important to go back and look at the older cases,
yes,
and
I agree.
For historical context. Yep. and compare it. So he was at a UFO conference and in New Jersey. And this is the first time Guy Delaunay really talked about this situation, because he was stationed in the military, and they, as usual, they tell you to shut up and not to just disclose any of this.
Right.
So he was originally from France. He came over to the U.S. He joined the Air Force. Okay. He served 4 years until 1958, honorably.
Yes.
Now, this was the winter of 1956 that this incident took place.
Okay.
His job, by the way, was doesn't sound too exciting, but it was something called automatic data processing, which I think was they were the guys that you were able to get paid. So
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Even if it wasn't that exciting.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now. He kept this quiet for years before he finally spilled the beans.
Yes.
Okay, we don't have a specific date, but it's in the winter. It's 11:30 p.m. Guy and one of his buddies are just going to run out and get some coffee and sandwiches for everybody that's working there that night. And as they start to go off the base, they look up in the sky and they see several globes over the base, maybe a dozen of them, kind of in a big circle, all spinning around. Okay, in this circle. Now, they didn't really give a size, but they weren't very big, whatever it was. It wasn't like they were some kind of a huge craft, at least, unless they were lights on a bigger craft that they couldn't see.
Right.
So they run. They abort the food run. They run back, and they tell everybody in the at the office there, at the structure that they're working, say, there's something going on out here. Take a look. They also contacted the base operations office. Well, they're already aware of it, and they're tracking these things on radar. So they've already got a pair of interceptors ready on the runway. Now, of course, as soon as the fighters were launched, the UFOs vanished. They vanished from the radar. They vanished from their visual sight. That the whole incident maybe took no more than 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Now, so after a little while, Delaunay and one of his coworkers decided to, why don't we take off? We'll cruise around the base, and just maybe we'll get another view of these things.
Yeah, sure.
So they eventually stopped their car at an area where there were some of these aircraft hangars were, and then as they're sitting there, all of a sudden, everything gets really quiet. And I don't mean, in the literary sense, it was too quiet. It was this kind of Oz factor we've talked about before, where things get unnaturally quiet.
Yes.
And then they saw what they thought might have been a military man walking in the shadows. They couldn't really see. It was some distance away near one of the hangars. And then all of a sudden, they saw the area light up, kind of glow, and it revealed a saucer-shaped craft sitting on the ground that was obviously already there, but they just hadn't seen because it was so dark.
Right.
Okay. It began to start to float upwards noiselessly, absolutely no noise. And it increases more and more in brilliance, only gets maybe 50 feet off the ground, and then bang, takes off into the sky, and that's it.
Wow.
Okay. But now the plot thickens. Okay.
Good.
Summer 1956, Delaunay's got a 30-day furlough, decides to go back to France, visit some relatives there. Now, in 53, there was a huge landing wave, humanoids and so forth. Again, before the Greys showed up,
Right.
This was chronicled in Jacques Vallée, one of his earlier books, Challenge to Science. He talks about this amazing wave of landings in France. Well, then another wave, that wave ends, and then another one's picking up in 1956 when he goes to visit France. Now, this is somewhere in central France. He's on a motorcycle returning to his grandfather's house. He's done a long straightaway, stops at a light, he's going to make a left turn, and he kind of, out of the corner of his eye, he can tell there's a big structure there off to the side, and he thought, that's funny. I don't remember any kind of building being there when I went past there before.
Yes.
This thing, and then the headlights in his motorcycle, he catches a man-like figure standing on the road. The guy is wearing what he described as sort of a silverish diving suit.
Okay. Nice.
6 feet tall, human looking. He can see there's no helmet on or anything like that.
Yep.
He can tell this guy is perfectly human. There's nothing strange about him at all.
Right.
And then this,
Except
he
his
can see
outfit.
this.
His outfit's a little weird, though. But yes, go ahead.
A little weird, yes.
Right.
But also the
But
craft.
it is France. It is France.
It's
so.
a scuba.
That's true. What
It's a
is it,
scuba
France?
outfit. It
Yeah.
was the style at the time.
Yeah, right, and it's just silver, just so he'd stand out amongst the fish. Go ahead, please switch.
He was not a conehead. We can
Not a cone.
Okay. But this thing turns out it's a craft. It's about 75 feet in diameter, and it starts to light up. Well, initially he takes off, and then because he's freaked out, and then he stops and he thinks, well, there wasn't any hostility or anything to really fear, so he thought maybe he should stop and get a better look. But by that time, the craft rises, takes off, and vanishes. Okay, now normally, a case like this, you'd think, oh, come on, this is too much. He's had 2 encounters.
Yes, right.
And back in the old days, who was it? Dr. J. Allen Hynek.
Yep.
And who's the guy that did all the close encounters of the second kind? The Ted Phillips. Ted Phillips, okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He did all those landing cases, thousands of landing cases.
Mm-hmm.
He said that one time there were some encounters in Piedmont, Missouri, and he said they rejected some of them because people were having repeat experiences. Because at that time they thought that was crazy, that couldn't happen.
Right.
But as time went on, they found out that people that would see one of these things or have these experiences were often prone to having more of them. It wasn't at all unusual. So that aspect of it doesn't necessarily put any lack of credibility on this guy's testimony.
Yeah, right, sure. No, I think it's well known that, people, I think UFOs appear to certain kinds of people. I really do.
So that people have the same experience. You mean like a very similar, almost identical experience,
or they're being followed somehow, or being observed.
Or they have more than one experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. They see further, like John Keel talked about the super spectrum. There are certain people that, in fact, people that are prone or have UFO experiences are also likely to see some kind of a cryptid, like a Bigfoot or whatever. It's not unusual for them to have multiple type of paranormal experiences.
I wonder if these would be people who had like a very high emotional intelligence or very high emotional awareness of everything around them. And they were,
I think that's
better
possible.
Visual acuity in their brain.
As sometimes people that have had these experiences, it seems that their IQ increases.
Yeah.
Or has profound effects on their lives sometimes.
Right.
They become artists or whatever.
We have the doctor on the line with us, Bruce Maccabee. So I'm going to try to bring him in through the magic of Skype. Let's see what happens. Okay. Hello, doctor. How you doing? Hello, doctor. Is there a doctor in the house? Is that
that's right?
Too cheap.
Doctor, tell me the news.
Okay. Hello, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, excellent. If you could speak up a little, I'll go right up against the microphone. That'd be great. We just brought you in on the fly here. Steve Ward, one of our correspondents, is on the line with us. And also Juan-Juan, our co-host, is here, and this is Matt.
Hello, Bruce.
I'm adjusting the microphone.
Okay.
How's that?
Good.
Yeah, sure. No, we just want you to be heard by everyone. So thanks for joining us tonight. Steve, you're going to hang around for a while, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You've been on the show before, but in the time since you've written a book, just tell us the title of the book, because I think it's a fascinating subject.
3 Minutes in June. That's the title.
Okay. And it's about the first sighting of quote-unquote flying saucers, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Let me start by saying I've now in the last 4 years written 3 books, which could be put sort of in a series, I guess. And they're taken together, they're a pretty comprehensive review of ufology.
Mm-hmm.
The most recent book, 3 Minutes in June, is the only book to be to concentrate on just Kenneth Arnold's sighting.
Right.
There's history in the book to sort of give you the context of how it happened to be and what happened after he actually made the report.
Right. How
the term flying saucers.
Right. I'm just going to give everyone the the thumbnail of what happened that day in June was he was flying. Kenneth Arnold was flying his own private plane. Kenneth Arnold. He was a salesman, and he was flying his own private plane, and he was flying over Mount Washington in Washington State, that whatever that mountain range is there. Okay, and he saw. To him, he saw this group of objects, several miles away, but they looked like pie plates in a way, and they were in a line, and they were moving back and forth, almost in coordination or whatever. And he was a knowledgeable guy, and he did a lot of kind of experiments right there in the cockpit. Like he put up his flight card, and he knew the flight card was 3 inches, so he could triangulate how far these things were away. He was that kind of guy,
Yeah.
And
what you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
When the media talked to him, somehow or other he said it looked like pie plates skipping over an ocean. And that translated into flying saucers. And that's how we get the term fly. How's that, Doctor? Did I get that right?
Well, that's close.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
Close is good.
Yikes.
I liked it.
Holy cow. Snap by the doc. Go ahead.
Specific, because it's not until you really start to study this and treat it seriously that you get the full impact of what happened. Famous skeptic Philip Glass once said to me, "Can't you find just one sighting that nobody can explain?" Of course, he claimed he could explain everything. So from his point of view, I couldn't find one sighting that nobody could explain. But there is a point to that. There are literally thousands of UFO sightings out there that various people will say can't be explained. Sometimes some ufologists agree, and other ufologists disagree on any particular sighting as whether or not it can be explained. But what we should be able to do, the quote UFO community unquote, should be able to come up with at least one sighting that everybody agrees on can't be explained. And I'm going to put up Kenneth Arnold's sighting as a candidate for that.
Right.
His sighting took place at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the sun on the 24th of June of 1947. With the sun behind him and high in the sky, optimum viewing. He was flying, at the time that it happened, he was flying eastward towards the he was southwest of Mount Rainier, 14,400 feet high, and flying roughly eastward when the sighting began. Why he happened to be there at that time is that he was a businessman who had his own fire control company, sold fire control equipment over a wide range of areas in the states of Oregon and Washington, and used his small plane for transport purposes, so he could try and go from one place to the other rather quickly. So he had been in Chehalis, Washington, on a job, and I was going to fly back to Yakima, and was near a place called Mineral. You can find on the map Mineral, Washington, some 25 miles southwest of Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier at 14,400 feet high sticks up above the rest of the mountains in the Cascade Range that are about 6,000 to 7,000 feet high. So he was flying along in essentially perfect weather. There was no turbulence. As he writes in his report, flying was excellent. He just sit back and enjoy the scenery. And everything was going along just fine until all of a sudden a big flash of light hit his cockpit. And it startled him. It must have been a very bright flash of light because the airplane was already lit by the sun directly and by all the skylight. So whatever made this flash reflected a heck of a lot of light onto his airplane, and he started looking around to see what was going on, and tell you that somebody in some hot dogger in a jet aircraft had buzzed his small plane, and what he had seen was sunlight reflecting off the body of this fast-moving aircraft. But as he looked around to find what he expected to be an aircraft, you could see off to the distance north of him, he estimated 15 miles, DC-4 transport plane, passenger plane, heading northward. But that was too far away to cause any flash of light in his airplane. So he kept on looking around, and then he noticed north of him flashes of light coming. And they were quite bright flashes of light for the distance that they were coming from. As he stared at this in this direction, he realized that there were 9 strange-looking objects heading rapidly southward. And you can see if they stayed on a straight track, they would pass between him and Mount Rainier. I estimate that they were first about 50 miles north of him when he first saw it. And they traveled past Mount Rainier, ultimately ended up going past Mount Adams about 50 miles south, about 3 minutes later. He looked at his clock when the first one of these objects went past Mount Rainier. Well, let me say, first of all, he decided to measure the speed. He said, as he points out, pilots are always talking about how fast various aircraft can go. And he could see that these things were going at an extremely high rate. And he said they flew like geese, and his first thought when he first saw them was that there was a train of geese coming along. But the speed was so great that he realized it couldn't be geese. So anyway, he decided to see if he could do a measure the speed. He said he had geographical markers, Mount Rainier, 25 miles roughly to his northeast, and way south of him was Mount Adams and Mount St. Helens. They figured he could track the time that it would take to go from, if they went in a straight line, they would go past Mount Rainier and then past Mount Adams. And so he decided to take a chance that they would do that. And he looked at the clock on his dashboard as the first one went past the southern flank of Mount Rainier. And then as time went on, he looked at these things as carefully as he could. He kept trying to see tails, fuselage, wings, any sort of a shape that he could recognize. In the report that he made to the Air Force, he said what he saw was shaped like a semicircle in the front, like a pie pan, but then cut into a convex triangular rear end, almost like a point on the rear. So it wasn't a circle; it was a half circle with a triangular rear. Except that was for 8 of them. One of them had a circular front and a double concave crescent at the rear. And he thought that one was kind of strange. It was the next to the last of this chain of 9 objects.
How many objects? How many?
Also, tried to make a measurement of the size of these objects as he went. He could measure the front to back distance. He used a thing called a Zeus fastener, which holds the cowling or covering on the engine. And he held one of these things up next to the objects at arm's length and compared the object with that. Then he turned around and to his left and looked out the window where you could see this DC-4 aircraft going northward at about 15 miles, he thought. He compared, by doing this comparison method, he concluded the objects were probably about the same size as this airplane, 60 to 80, and I think maybe 100 feet. But that's the size, the front to back size of these estimated. So he had made a crude measurement of the size, and then he saw as these things went past Mount Adams, he looked at his clock, and a minute and 42 seconds had gone by. It was 1 minute before June, 1 minute before 3 o'clock.
Right.
1 minute before 3 o'clock when he started timing the first object. And then 42 seconds after 3 p.m. when he when he saw the last one passing Mount Adams. And the bottom line is they had traveled about 50 miles in 102 seconds. And he thought that was pretty high. What bothered him was watching these objects was, number one, he couldn't locate any normal features of shape. As I said, he couldn't see wings, he couldn't see engines, he couldn't see the fuselage, he couldn't see tailwing.
So there was no detail other than pie plate shape. There's no other detail.
Yeah, the way they flew was they rocked back and forth, the front and back, as if you had skipped a stone on the water.
Yeah.
And the day or so after, when he was interviewed on Reporters, he also used the skipping a saucer on water type of analogy. And that presumably is where some reporter, news media typically collapses stuff into what they think is the smallest number of words to get something across.
Right.
Maybe they end up with the wrong words.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
Anyway,
we have to take a
flipping and flapping. He says, as he was astonished or astounded at the way these things tilted and went in and out of the peaks of the mountains south of Mount Rainier. He said he decided human beings couldn't be in these things. The G forces would be too great as a change in directions.
Right.
So everything.
We're going to take a commercial break now, Bruce, and just a station ID. So hang on, Steve, hang on, and we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They are even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone or something looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
The truth? You can't handle the truth. Only Commander Cobra can handle the truth.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us tonight, the very famous Juan-Juan is here, 19 weeks in a row.
Thank you
for
acknowledging that.
He's bought a Tom Brady Bible with him and a Tom Brady birthday cake, which we have been consuming between segments.
It says, happy 40th birthday, Tom Brady.
Right.
On it.
7 weeks. And they play 6 weeks. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's right around the corner.
Unbelievable.
On the phone with us is, first of all, Steve Ward up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. Steve.
Hi, guys.
Okay. And also our special guest, Bruce Maccabee, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, talking about his new book, 3 Minutes in June, about the first quote-unquote flying saucer sighting. But you're right, it's a huge sighting. It's something that is well documented. The person who made the sighting, as I said in the run-up, he knew what he was doing, and yet it's never been solved. Right,
That's
Bruce?
Right. Now, as I point out in the book, Kenneth Arnold was the right man at the right time, at the right place, and with the right attitude. He realized that these things were coming along, they were going at a high speed, they were extremely unusual shape. The way they flew with flipping and flashing, as he puts it, in the sun, it just wasn't, there was nothing normal about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to see if he could measure the speed. He said, I know I had a sort of like a fixed geographical point in Mount Rainier at one end, and then farther south a fixed geographical point, Mount Adams, and he could time if he took a chance that they might actually go in a straight line,
yep.
Or pretty close to it from near Mount Rainier to Mount Adams, and they did that. He timed it, came up with a number that you can hardly believe, 1,700 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And, an important factor about this is, as I said, he was the right man. He was dripping with credibility. He was a businessman. He had 4,000 or so hours of flying time in the mountains. He knew what stuff was. It was the optimum viewing conditions from him, with the sun behind him, and high in the sky, and him looking toward the east. You could see what these things looked like as they passed Mount Rainier. They tilted to a steep enough angle that he could see. It was almost like you could see from the top downwards, looking down from above. But when they were seen on edge, they were very thin. So he compared them to something like a saucer skipping on water.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And after he saw these things and they disappeared off into the distance, he went to Yakima, Washington, told some of his pilot buddies there, and they didn't know what to believe, but they knew that Arnold was the type of guy to pull off jokes, practical jokes or tall tales. It certainly wasn't a hoax, and it wasn't a copycat case, because there hadn't been any previous publicized sightings.
Right, sure.
The thing about Arnold's sighting, because of his credibility, it was the first one that was publicized.
Right.
He told his pilot friends. Then a couple hours later, he flew from Yakima to Pendleton, Oregon. And by the time he landed there, the news media people had already started to pick up on it.
Right.
And he got explained to them what he had seen, and they did a calculation, and he couldn't believe 1,700 miles an hour, so they arbitrarily tried to change his calculations, and he said at least 1,200 miles an hour.
Right.
And if you see any of the newspaper reports, it came out starting on the 26th, I think, of June. They almost always refer to 1,200 miles an hour as an estimated speed.
Right, right. I mean, that was an unheard of speed at that time, 1947.
Oh, yes, but to put it in context, the guy who broke this sound barrier,
right?
I can't think of his name.
Chuck Yeager.
Chuck Yeager, the first guy with the right stuff.
Right.
In September of 1947.
Right. And
that's sound barrier at 730 or 40 miles
something
an hour.
like that, right? So we're talking about something going twice the speed of that. Listen, Bruce, I want to get into this next segment. So tell people where they can buy your book and they can read the rest of the story.
Well, they can get the book directly from Amazon. I have two other books, the FBI CIA UFO Connection and Abduction of My Life. They're all available on Amazon. If you contact me at my website or my email, brumac.mysite.com is the website, and brumac@CompuServe.com is my email.
Right.
Maybe you can pick that up somehow. Anyway, you can get it directly from me, and if you get it directly from me, you'll get an autographed copy, or you can get it directly from Amazon.
Right, sure. And it's a fascinating idea. I'm glad that someone wrote the book. I was telling Juan-Juan earlier, it was a book that needed to be written. I'm glad you're the one who wrote it. 3 Minutes in June by Bruce Maccabee. It's a good read. I can't wait to read it. I've been looking forward to this book for years, so thanks for writing it. Now, because you are a physicist, and we were talking about your appearance a few weeks ago, we've all come up with quick questions I've always wanted to ask a physicist. All of us have wanted to ask a physicist, definitely. Okay? So, Switch, can you start off with yours, please?
Ask your local physicist.
Okay, here we go. Switch, you there, Steve?
Oh, wait, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, my fault. I had the cough button on. Okay, here I am. Bruce, I've always wondered, we've gotten some of the classic reports of UFOs, objects in the sky, going at tremendous speed, sometimes making 90-degree angle turns. Certainly we've had them, descriptions of them at rest and then taking off at incredible speeds. Assuming that some of these reports are legitimate, is there anything in physics that could account for this kind of behavior by a solid craft, or does this possibly imply that some of these are not physical?
Well, you can certainly have high acceleration. I wrote a whole paper on that. The title called Acceleration. It's on my website.
Mm-hmm.
I argue that things like sudden appearances and sudden disappearances could be a result of the capability of having extremely high acceleration. A human being under those conditions probably would get turned into a bowl of jelly.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Yes.
But if you had drone-type craft or something piloted by robots, you might be able to do extremely fast maneuvers, so fast that somebody sitting there looking at you, and then suddenly you disappear. It appears to be a disappearance, but in fact is such a rapid acceleration you've gone away.
Wow, that's wild.
There's a video which illustrates that. It came out of a Gulf Breeze many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where a guy was videotaping this shiny thing several thousand feet away, I estimate. And in case, if you watch the video at normal speed, it just disappears. It's a shiny dot object, very big enough in angular size,
right,
to make a noticeable image on the screen, and it just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
You go down and step it down to frame by frame, and you see that it's sitting there steadily, and all of a sudden the image stretches a little bit in a certain direction.
Right.
And the next frame it's moved a bit and stretched some more, and the next frame it's moved some more and stretched even more. And this stretching of the image is the result of the motion of the thing during the frame time of the camera.
Right. Did you ever come up?
You actually see the acceleration take place, and as I said, you play it at normal speed, and you don't know where the hell the damn thing went.
Was there a way to measure the acceleration that this thing had?
Yes, I did measure the acceleration. It was several times the acceleration of gravity.
Wow. Well, that'd be cool if that ghost, they're not just appearing and disappearing there. They move away so quickly, it looks like they're disappearing. All right, here's my question. My question is almost related to this because it kind of came from the same idea. We're now in an era where jet fighters, everything, airliners, bombers, they're all electrically controlled. Okay,
right.
There's no more manual. You push the thing in the rudder. Something moves the rudder.
Takes all the fun out of it.
Right. It's electrical impulses.
Yep.
They give you, when you're flying the plane, you get the same resistance you would get. So it's kind of faking you out in
the same physical feedback.
Right. Yeah, and it will do the thing, but it's really the computer is running the plane, and electricity is running all through the plane.
Right.
Now, some of these planes can get up to, in dogfights and stuff like that, can get up to like 6-7 Gs, okay, to the point where, or maybe it's not as much as that, but it's so, extreme that they actually have buttons in the new planes that if you pass out, you hit that button. It's called the blackout button, the bob, and the plane will fly itself until you come back to consciousness.
Wait a minute, how do you hit the button?
It's the last thing you do. When you black out, you get like 5 seconds and you know it's coming, so you hit that button.
Okay.
Now, my question is all this maneuvering and all these different Gs and negative Gs and positive Gs, that does not affect the flow of electricity, Doctor?
I'm sorry. What was the very ending of your question?
Okay, maybe the dog is talking to me through. If you're in these high-tech jets that are being, basically controlled by electrical circuits, and you're going through all these high-G maneuvers and so on, that doesn't affect the flow of electricity? Gravity doesn't affect the flow of electricity?
Not that I'm aware of it. It would have to be extreme, maybe extreme gravity might.
Okay.
Well, extreme gravity curves space, so I suppose
something like that. Okay.
Well, that's if one assumes electrons flow, which
right. Yeah. I mean the
it doesn't really.
Yeah, not really. Right. You always think it's like a tributary of electricity, but
it's
not
like
really.
if you had a piece of wire and it was filled with marbles,
right,
and you got the marble at the end, and you hit that marble, and the other one comes out.
Right. That's how electricity works?
Yes, that's right.
Really? Okay.
If you want to see the effect of acceleration, you can go to my brumac.mysite.com, brumac.mysite.com, and look for the paper called Acceleration.
Right. Okay.
My grandmother saw. My grandmother, and I assume that during the first 1947 flap, was out hanging up clothes. So she was looking up into the sky. She's hanging clothes onto a clothesline in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And all of a sudden, over a nearby hill, two shiny round objects came along heading from the east towards the west, and she says they made a right angle turn and headed north. My grandma wasn't an aeronautical engineer, but she knew that ordinary aircraft don't make right angle turns.
Right. Yeah. So, Bruce, are we rewriting the laws of physics now because of these sightings and these incidences?
Well, I don't know.
It sounds like we're breaking the laws of physics all the time.
Extreme conditions of physics that we're not aware of yet.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Without totally rewriting the laws. But on the other hand, if you compare what we know now with what we knew 100 years ago,
right.
There's a tremendous amount of magic going on compared to 100 years ago.
Right.
Sure.
Juan-Juan, what's your question?
That was my question. Are we kind of modifying the laws of physics based on all these sightings that we see at the amazing kinds of speed and angularity and whatnot? It's just they say you can't do that.
But laws now in 500 years they're going to be different. Yeah, right. I mean, it's a our question.
There's a couple of physics aspects of the Kenneth Arnold sighting. One is the flashes of light that he talked about. Now, I have done a calculation. The first time anybody tried a calculation to check the Arnold's claim or suggestion that these things were reflecting sunlight, and I've done a calculation based on his claim that when he first noticed a flash of light on the surfaces of an aircraft, that's what attracted his attention to these bright objects coming along. And I've concluded that they were too far away to make a flash of light on his sunlight on his airplane. They must have been the flashes might have been generated some other way, like for example by a laser, or something like that. And then as the object went past Mount Adams, 50 miles south of Arnold, there was a prospector on that mountain, a guy named Fred Johnson.
Yes.
Who was interviewed by. He wrote a letter to the Air Force and then was interviewed by the FBI. And he basically said that he was on the side of the mountain prospecting when the same day and about the same time that Kenneth Arnold saw these things, he saw them fly overhead. And he noticed his compass started wobbling back and forth while these things were flying over, and then became normal again afterwards. So there was some magnetic effect with these objects.
Wow. All right, our last question from Rob Beckhusen, our war correspondent. He wants to know, do you ever foresee a day where antimatter will be weaponized by the military?
Well, I hadn't really thought about it. You know, the problem with antimatter is it's hard to hold on to.
Whoa, okay. Comes through, all right.
Some sort of a container that keeps the antimatter from actually touching the matter.
Right.
Maybe you could create an antimatter bullet somehow, project it out into space, and I don't know how far it would go. I don't know how fast it would go, but presumably if it ever hit a chunk of matter, the two would annihilate into a burst of radiation.
All right. That sounds cool.
Effectively destroying whatever it was.
Yes, right. So
I see a movie there.
Yeah, me too. But nothing in the foreseeable future for antimatter hand grenades and so on.
nothing that I've.
Okay. Hey, listen, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. I can't wait to read your book, 3 Minutes in June, about the Kenneth Arnold sighting in 1947, June 1947, the first quote-unquote flying saucer sighting ever. It was where the term came from, but it's just so much more than that. It's a fascinating story. Kenneth Arnold was a fascinating guy for some of the stuff he did after the sighting. A very interesting guy. Thanks, and you can get it on Amazon, 3 Minutes in June by Bruce Maccabee. I'm looking forward to reading it. Bruce, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, and enjoy reading the book.
Okay, thank you. We will. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See, now you've been educated there, Juan-Juan.
I know.
We've talked to a physicist for about an hour or so. We should get something for that.
I'm amazed that there was actual sighting of those objects for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So at 12 miles an hour, that would be 20 miles a minute.
Yeah. It's as he said, he was in the right place at the right time, Kenneth Arnold, because he had a head on his shoulders. He knew, all right, I'm seeing something weird. But all this time, he thought he was seeing military secret projects.
Right.
Okay, he was convinced there was something the military was doing. And it's only when he landed and it kind of caught fire that he realized the military was not involved. There was another guy.
Wait a minute, what caught fire?
The story. The story went all over the United States.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, people started seeing, UFOs, and then Roswell happened right afterwards.
Right.
Yep.
So
a wave went across the country. Is that right, Steve? You'd know more about that than me.
Oh, yeah. And I'm reading his book, and I didn't know about the prospector, for example, that he was a credible guy that saw the same thing that he did. I didn't know there was anybody else that witnessed that particular sighting.
Right.
But, yeah, once, these things actually were going on. There's a lot of reports, you can dig back in the newspapers where people weren't using the same terminology. But this is the thing, man. Like you said, it caught fire. This is the thing that turned the light bulb on,
right?
And then all bets were off.
And then Roswell was like 2 weeks later, right?
Yeah, it was just right in the same time. So who knows what really happened there?
Right.
But yeah, that was an amazing series of events.
Right. And then you bring in Arnold. After that, there was an incident before this sighting called
Maury Island. You're talking about
Maury
right?
Island incident. If you read that. Right. That ranks up there in the top 3 of creepy in a way, but what went on here? I mean, there was so many different things. It's
including one of the first modern day Men in Black reports.
Men in Black report. People going crazy, and people had made the sighting, and a month after Kenneth Arnold made his sighting, he got connected with a magazine UFO magazine in Chicago. And they assigned him as a reporter to the Maury Island story. And they're in rooms where, people are bugging them. People are calling them up on the phone and going, I know exactly what you're saying. And they would repeat back what they were saying to them.
Yep.
Crazy. Man.
You had 2 Air Force officers die. They collected this slag that supposedly fell from a UFO. And then you get the real tenuous connection to the bizarre Shaver mystery to Ray Palmer and amazing stories. It's more than a 3-ring circus.
And 2 Air Force officers flew up to Washington where all this was going on and took back samples of what people said fell out of the UFO, as Steve said. They took off and they crashed. Like 10 minutes later, they killed both of them.
Wow.
And then one of the guys who was involved in it at one point was under subpoena, I think, by the Warren Commission for the
Fred
JFK.
Christman.
Really?
Yeah. It's insane, man. I'm telling you, it's an insane story. You talk about a movie. Wow.
Fred Chrisman's name comes up in a lot of in the Kennedy assassination and the Shaver mystery, and that guy was a strange character.
Yeah. Whatever he was doing, he was up to something. And even J. Edgar Hoover, they have cables back and forth. And the FBI guy said in Washington said, this has all aspects of a UFO story, and he tended to believe him. So, and Kenneth Arnold was right in the middle of it. We should do a show on it some night. The Maury Island incident. It's nuts. It really is. And it happened weeks before Kenneth Arnold had his sighting. So, Steve,
let's do it.
Yes,
let's do it. You were in the middle of talking when the doctor came on.
Actually, that was pretty much wraps up my report. It just that it's one of these older reports that nobody knows about. It's got all kinds of classic parts to it where you've got a landing, you've got some kind of it's a close encounter of the third kind. It's they see some kind of a apparently occupant or some kind of humanoid in conjunction with it. You have a witness that seems to be credible, but here he is in two different countries, is still experiencing this kind of UFO phenomena.
Right. Yeah. Strange.
So,
Mitchell Field, I might be thinking that it's near New York City because it was involved in another incident. As always,
I looked it up. It says it's on Long Island.
Long Island, okay.
Yeah.
In the late 30s, it might have been 1940. During the snowstorm during the Christmas season in New York City, this plane started buzzing the skyscrapers back then, and people were picking up radio, calls saying, we're lost. It's in the blizzard. Right. We can't land. We can't find a place to land. And it was literally flying down Fifth Avenue and going in and out of the skyscrapers and stuff,
Wow.
Something I kind of ripped off for Wingman 18 on sale everywhere. So, and people saw it for like hours, and people went up to the top of the Empire State Building to try to see this thing and so on. It flew out over Long Island and so on. And all the airports in the area put their lights on, put on their runway lights so this guy could see, and then all of a sudden the radio signal stopped. Never heard from again. No plane was ever reported missing. No crashes were reported. Right. No one knows who the heck it was or whatever. Ever hear that one, the ghost plane of New York City, Steve?
I've not heard of that one, no.
Yeah. I mean, it's creepy in a way because it's like, what, it's not a UFO story, but what went on there, And again, many, many witnesses, hundreds of witnesses saw this thing flying around.
Well, when John Keel wrote the Mothman Prophecies, there was all kinds of bizarre activity going on Long Island as well as in Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
You've been down there lately?
I don't know about lately, but there were Men in Black encounters, landings. People firmly believed they were in contact with other intelligences. Keel called them the silent contactees. People that really believed they were in this contact, but they didn't care about publicity. They weren't trying to become famous.
Right.
And there's another book that's just come out called The Big Breakthrough, which has some of John Keel's notes. Okay. And if you've read the Mothman Prophecies and know some of the incidents in there, this makes them even stranger.
Oh, really?
You find out he just put in this. It just scratches the surface. Some of the things that he put in the Mothman Prophecies that you'll find in this other book. It's just blowing me away.
Any newbies out there, if you want to start reading these kind of books, just read John Keel's book. Any John Keel book really would do it. The Mothman Prophecies being number one in my book. So I think too, and I what you said makes a lot of sense. I think it's good that people go back and look at these old 1950 sightings and so on because, they weren't as crazy as some people claim sightings these days. A lot of them were just like he talked about. Some guy, on a base or somewhere, he sees something. It's not aliens and colors and lights, and he just sees something that takes off, and it's like, what was that? It isn't something that lasts a long time or anything. A lot of these. They'll just kind of see them, and then they're gone, and it's kind of like, did I just see that? What happened there? The Ronnie Zamora story is a perfect example of that. But
and there are hundreds and hundreds of stories like this, credible people, experiencing something incredible.
Right, and they all can't be wrong. That's the thing about it,
And they weren't blindsided by strange high-tech tools or anything like that back in the 40s and 50s. You just had your eyesight and maybe a pair of binoculars.
Right.
So,
and they knew something was weird, in the Aztec UFO crash story that we've had the Ramseys on. I mean, one of the key sentences in that book is that when it happened in 1947, earlier than this happened, and maybe 48, and people reported the crash, a few Army trucks show up, and then an Army helicopter came, and the people were afraid of the Army helicopter. They didn't even know what a helicopter was back then.
Right.
Okay, and this crazy thing lands. They think it's an alien. Okay, it was simple. There was not there was not all the stuff you have to process these days if you saw a UFO. This is what I saw. This is what happened. He saw it too. What is it? We don't know. I mean,
they didn't have any biases from looking at movies or
exactly
strange things like that. So.
Yep.
Right, because sometimes they see a landed craft and they think, what's that next to them? Two children?
Right.
And then they get closer and they find small men in silver suits, maybe with helmets on or whatever, that seem to be repairing their craft. And so, people are always trying to put things in a regular and a normal context.
Right.
And they weren't so bombarded with pop culture, and certainly didn't have the internet and all the computer stuff to kind of shape their thinking.
Right, and soil their minds. In a way.
Your mind is biased towards the normalcy of life, not to be extending it out to the Hollywood version of aliens and
the
men from Mars.
Well, like you said, the Ronnie Zamora case, I think that you're referring to is, his first inclination is, what are those kids doing out there with that?
Right.
What is that, and what are those kids doing out there? That's what your mind would think first, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute.
And a very, very credible witness.
Right.
It was followed up. Dr. Hynek, Ray Stanford were on the scene. They found burn marks. There was some kind of exhaust, something, burned the rocks and so forth around there. And then I think there were some kind of tripod marks there as well.
Yeah, he was a cop. He was a local cop. Was he a state cop or was he a local?
I think it seemed to me he was local.
Yeah, okay. But you're right, a very credible witness. This guy in a million years would not, report a UFO if he didn't see one. He just wasn't that type of guy, So he saw something. That's also a really good case to look into, the Ronnie Zamora case. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take we have to bid farewell to Switch. He has to get back to work, yes.
Oh.
Can you get back to work?
Okay.
And let us know if you need any jokes. Earlier you had said that.
Listen,
go ahead,
you guys will be the first to know if I need any jokes.
Okay, all right. I was going to do a joke of my own.
Oh, okay, so didn't mean to cut you
You
off.
had said earlier that an unnatural quiet came over everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Like what happened when Juan-Juan did that joke,
All
right?
Yeah, okay. All right.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
So run your jokes by us,
Yes, right.
the next couple of
Filter
shows.
them through us, okay?
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you,
See how we
Switcherino.
react.
All right, thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you, Switch.
I've got a good one planned for next week. A real bizarre one.
Oh, that's good. We're off next week, so 2 weeks.
Well, 2 weeks. Okay, sounds good.
It'll be extra good. Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Okay, see ya.
Steve. Switcherino, Steve Ward up there in the Bowl of Flakes, Battle Creek, Michigan. I had some frosted flakes the other day, first time in about 20 years. Someone had brought, they come now in like little bowls themselves, in a little cover. You just throw the milk in there. And,
they're bringing that back. They used to have that in the old days.
they used to have the boxes.
The box, you slid it.
Put the milk in the box. Yeah, the parents loved it because you threw everything away.
The variety pack.
Yep. Yeah, well, now it's, I'm sure, young ones on the go.
I love it.
Jeez. That was great. I'm telling you, it was like gone in like 20 seconds. It was good. But the dentist's best friend, man, all sugar. Oh, wow.
I used to eat them as a snack.
Yeah, everyone did. Put them on ice cream.
Put in a bowl. And
Put them in beer, too. I mean, I know it's crazy.
What?
Have you ever had beer in like Frosted Flakes?
No.
Oh, it's good. Believe me, I know.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not
I'm
kidding
not buying it. I'm not buying it.
No. We'll try it. What do you mean you're not buying it? What do
I'm
you?
not buying it.
Gourmet?
All right, I'll try it.
Okay.
Sheesh.
This is the back of the day where you would get the half a cigarette out of the ashtray and have a smoke first.
I remember those days.
Whet your appetite. Anyway, well, why don't we take a commercial break now, and we'll be back to continuing the fun. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Over the years, Air Force Major Hawk Hunter and his band of patriotic fighter pilots have fought tirelessly to reunite a fractured America, devastated by a Russian sneak attack. Now, returning from a mysterious space odyssey, Hunter finds a huge Russian army occupying New York City, ready to invade the rest of America. Buzzing through the city's skyscraper canyons in a tiny top-secret ghost plane and seeing the invaders' massive weaponry for himself, Hawk realizes he's up against the greatest danger his homeland has ever faced. But equally alarming are reports claiming that Hawk's former girlfriend, Dominique, is living with the head of the Russian secret police in a Manhattan penthouse. Is she his prisoner, or is she something else? With the woman and the country he loves in dire peril, Hawk Hunter, the wingman, will apply all his aviation prowess to launch the most crucial battle for America yet, no matter what the risks. Filled with fast-paced action, a wide range of aircraft and military hardware, Battle for America brings back your favorite characters from earlier books in the Wingman series and delivers a riveting story that reveals new insight on America's most famous hero, the Wingman. That's Wingman 18, The Battle for America. On sale now at Amazon.com and available at your local bookstore.
Hi, I'm Christopher Walken, and you're listening to the Mack Maloney Military X-Files show on Distant Thunder Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney, and that cough you hear in the background,
Excuse me.
is the very famous Juan-Juan.
Hello, Mac.
A little emotional, are you, over the Tom Brady birthday cake?
Took my breath away.
There you go.
Interesting story.
Yes, for another show. Last week you weren't in any Patriots regalia. That was week 18. Now week 19, you're here. You have the hat. You brought the Tom Brady little Bible there. Sports Illustrated. Happy birthday, Tom Brady.
TB12 turns 40.
There you
Cover
go.
of Sports Illustrated special edition.
All about Brady.
That's right. It's all Brady all the time.
Right.
Oh, and some Giselle in here, too.
And, yeah. And,
Look
if
at
that
this.
wasn't enough,
There's a page of...
just Brady
every-
covers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I love
good. That means, there's 18 pictures. He's going to break 18 bones his first game. That Sports Illustrated Chris is a killer.
Hey, and he's never had any concussions either.
Yeah. How would she know? You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not on the field.
No. Anyway, you also brought a cake, a Tom Brady Happy Birthday Tom
That's
Brady
right.
40 cake,
I
which we've
picked up
been
a cake and had it decorated. Happy 40th birthday.
Wow.
Tom Brady.
Wow. Yikes. You know, I know I've asked you this before, but what does Mrs. Juan-Juan think about this little thing?
She thought it was cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Very
That was a great idea.
open-minded.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Sure.
Are you talking about just today's activities? Or
She's okay with my love affair for Tom Brady.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is 2017. Yeah.
She likes him too.
Huh. Oh, boy.
Menage a trois with Tom Brady.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
mean, I always thumb through magazines to see if Tom Brady is, doing any pitches for watches or cologne or whatever.
Cobra, if you're listening, can you come and get me, please?
He's the man. Come on.
Okay. All right, let me ask you something, and I know that this is probably boring the heck out of all those people who hate the Patriots.
And there are many.
Supposing if he got hurt, supposing if he was out all of next year, would you still, I
would have to.
Carry the, what
We'd
would
have
it?
to see how Jimmy Garoppolo
Carry the torch for him.
Yeah.
He's not doing good in spring training, or
Well,
in
so what? I know.
early training, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's throwing picks and
yeah.
people
Well,
are dropping balls too.
you know how you find out your future there. You go to your locker. There's a note in there. See Bill. You might as well just pack your bags. You might get that note.
That's the way they do it.
I'll tell you. There's one thing is they're not gonna waste time. You know what I mean? They're not gonna say,
right.
well, let's see how we work. No, boop, you're gone.
They don't tolerate any mediocrity.
Right. Yeah.
So
And that's why they've won 5.
yeah,
And now they're going for
they're on their way to 6.
6.
They figure they got the best roster they've ever had.
Wow.
And the other teams in that division
Yep.
have lost ground
Yes.
in their rosters.
Right. The Miami quarterback, he's out. He broke something.
Right. So they got Jay Cutler.
And I mentioned that. And
dragged him kicking and screaming out of the
out of the broadcast booth.
Right.
Then one of the Jets' best players got hurt.
Right. He's out for the
yesterday.
season.
He's out for the season. And so and Buffalo is but I just hope that they don't somehow accidentally or unaccidentally kind of beat themselves. You know what I mean? And I think a key injury could have a big effect.
Anything can happen.
On what might happen. You know. But in any case, if you want to do a special show some night about Tom Brady, your love for Tom Brady, we can count that. Okay. Would Mrs. Juan-Juan come down and
embrace the whole experience?
The whole three-way thing?
I'll try to go down there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wow. That would be quite a show.
You'd have some chuckles out of it.
Chuckles? Okay. I'm assuming you don't mean the candy.
No.
You get some laughs. It'd be funny.
You know, I got the Tom Brady poster in the bedroom, and
Oh, my God. Wow.
Actually, I'm kidding about that, but I'm thinking about it.
Oh, well, okay. If you're thinking is doing.
All I'm doing is trying to figure out where I'm going to put it.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
it's going to be big.
Put it so when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you see.
So I put it on the ceiling.
Oh, really? Yeah. Good thinking. See?
They wake up big. Boom.
Some of Bruce Maccabee wore off on you there.
That's already.
Right. I hope his dog's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted something.
Yeah, food probably, but you never know. So anyway, speaking of football, you know what team is really supposed to really be bad this year? Really bad. Really projected kind of downward.
What team?
Yeah, can you guess?
What football team?
Yeah.
Jets.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a surprise. You thought they'd be better than what they're being predicted.
Colts.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I was doing everything but, pantomiming a detail.
No, I know it, but I wasn't even thinking of the Dallas Cowboys.
On the phone.
Rob, did you hear this?
We have to introduce
I heard that.
Okay. Calling in from the murder capital of the planet. What is it? Graveyard of beloved presidents. Rob Beckhusen from Dallas has survived another week.
Yeah, and hearing all that football talk
yes,
had me thinking about the Cowboys the whole time.
Really?
Until you said that very terrible thing you just said.
Well, it's
because I think this
will
be the year. I think this will be the season when the
win
Cowboys go all the way.
Oh, come on.
That's precious.
They might make the playoffs if they're lucky.
If they're lucky.
They did last year.
Yeah.
And
they were lucky.
Further.
Those two guys aren't. You know what always happens is they had really two good young guys last year. What's one called Jack and Crack? So what's his name?
The quarterback is Dak Prescott.
Dak, D-A-K.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sounds like a villain for the Superman.
It was going to be Zach, but they misspelled it on his birth certificate.
Is that true? And he became Dak?
His full name is Rain Dakota Prescott.
Oh my God.
Oh.
There you go.
He must know Joaquin Phoenix and
of course he does.
Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
It's from Louisiana, and then the star running back Ezekiel Elliott.
Ezekiel, right out of the Bible.
What do they call him?
He's been getting into trouble. I don't know if that's made the news up there, but he's been getting into a lot of little fender bender.
Dak has?
Yeah. No, the other guy, Ezekiel has.
Allegedly bar fights. So
that's not them. Don't worry about that.
It's just the Dallas Cowboys,
That's his way of working out.
A bunch of characters.
Yeah. So
no one's gonna laugh. I will.
I don't get it. I mean, these guys getting into trouble. They don't have guaranteed contracts.
No, you guaranteed your first year though.
Okay.
I mean, you're guaranteed
so you
a portion
schmuck
of
the first year,
right.
and then your history, and nobody wants you.
You do make some money at the beginning.
Yeah.
But see I hate to say it. I think we'd be the same way. He's a young kid, and suddenly he's got money, and he's got fame, and people know who he is, and he
turn your brain back on and figure it out.
Well, just goes out and gets, he's 20. How old is he? 20, 21?
Oh, early 20s. I can't imagine, exactly what you're saying. I totally hear that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you have to, I hate to say it, but you need somebody. When you're at that age, you need somebody older, kind of looking over your shoulder.
Like your mother or something.
Well, Nomar Garcia-Parra, this is really going back, okay? He always had his uncle. His uncle came and moved to Boston. He kind of looked out for him, you know? Yeah. And he did all right, I guess. I don't know. But he wasn't getting involved.
Did you know that Nomar is Ramon spelled backwards?
Yes, yeah. I mean, and there are now people in major leagues whose name is Nomar. They were named after this Nomar, and now they've made it. They're 19, 20 or so. But, these guys... First of all, I never understand any kind of celebrity, any kind of person who, if something happens to you, you're going to make headlines in the paper. Number one, why didn't you take a limo? Why? How many of these celebrity, issues would not have happened had they taken a limo?
A limo or Uber or something.
So, yes, something. I don't understand why they drive. I don't get that.
Nevertheless, I have faith that the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl.
Want to make it interesting?
Based on what?
Sure.
I don't get it.
All right, let's say
faith.
Just
faith.
It's not like I have rational reasons for believing this.
Just want to make that clear.
Somewhat rational.
No basis in stats,
reality,
anything.
He's just got a good feeling. He's got a spiritual feeling. His team's going to win one.
I'd like to see them, again in the playoffs. Because it's always
Yeah, always fun to see them lose, man. I love watching the Cowboys lose.
Cowboys used to beat the Patriots' ass.
Oh yeah.
Over and over again.
Yep. In the 70s.
Well, Cowboys fans love it too. So
yeah,
70s were the Cowboys had their eras in the 70s.
They did.
Okay, and they ran everything, man. They were on every Monday Night Football. They were the team.
Yeah.
They were the team you love to hate.
Yeah.
But now I still get pleasure out of watching them lose because especially when what's his name was there. Who's the guy who just retired? He never really played. You know, their old quarterback. How quick we forget.
Tony Romo?
Yeah, Tony Romo. Okay. Yeah. You know.
He was supposed to go places.
Say again?
He was supposed to go places.
Right, yeah. Never, ever
heir apparent to
reached
everything.
the pinnacle they thought he was going to do. And then he would lose games really weirdly, too. Yeah. You know, he'd do something really stupid.
Didn't they take him out of the game, right?
Yeah, sometimes, for his...
Wow. Yeah. Just for being a schmuck.
Yeah, just,
It's awful.
Anyway, I just remember when they were in the... Were they in the Super Bowl with him?
No.
All right, when before a playoff game, they had a bye week. This is going back a while. So he had 2 weeks off. He spent it in Mexico with...
Oh, yeah.
What's her name? Jessica Simpson.
Something like that. I don't know.
Or is that the Simpsons?
They just went and partied nonstop, wall to wall.
A Dallas girl, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah? Oh, maybe that's how he... Yeah. But, you want to...
Tone it down a little bit.
Or put a little thought into the playoffs game you're going to be in. That might be, we'll watch some tapes or something.
Yeah.
Well, all I could say, Mac, is that if you're happy, I'm happy. So.
Wow, no one's ever said that to me before.
So it'll be win-win. The Cowboys are the most watched team, I think, in the NFL. Yeah, so the ratings will be great either way.
It's the Patriots. It's the Patriots by far. That's why they were on. A lot of time that's one downside of the Patriots
a lot of network games,
and a lot of late network games. You know, I mean, some of these Patriots games start at like 8:30. Our nighttime. Okay, you people for some reason they want people in California to see at 5:30. Who knows why? And so we, a lot of times you tape it and watch it the next morning. Try not to find out what the score was. You fall asleep sometimes. Fall asleep at halftime. Mm-hmm. So it's not good for us that they're so popular. But they are Dallas might have been the number one team 5 years ago, but no longer there. But let's get on to something more important.
I don't know. It's the national following, though.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't. People are following. That doesn't mean that they're rooting for them. Like me, I follow them all the time, man. I watch them on all the time. I say, come on, let's lose. Let's figure out another way to lose.
Point taken.
Very entertaining. So, did we say $50? Did we say $50? I know that you're
$50 at what? They're not going to make the playoffs, or
yeah. I'll bet you $50 Dallas doesn't win it all.
I bet they make the playoffs.
No, hang on. Don't fudge there, my friend. I'm going to bet you $50 Dallas does not win the Super Bowl.
Let me think about
rewind
it.
The tape.
I said I had faith, but
rewind the tape. Yeah. See, all of a sudden
you're catching me out here.
Yeah. Okay. Go talk to God. See what If that's what you do, that's fine.
Let him sleep on it.
Let him
call tomorrow.
Maybe he'll come to you in a dream and he'll give you a big thumbs up. So anyway, so we've got football out of the way. Mm-hmm. The cake is gone, Juan-Juan?
No, there's a few pieces left.
Okay, that's good. All right. Are you going to bring it down the headquarters afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure there was a few people down there last week that would have enjoyed it.
I don't know if I can bring food into the restaurant.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
I wouldn't do that.
Turn into
I don't want to share it with that crowd anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I want to bring it home.
They're a little wild, man. Remember last week?
Bring some home for Lois?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. She can throw it at me, too,
Happy birthday.
There's a Stooges bit in there
40th
somewhere.
birthday. Oh, 40. My God.
How old is she?
Giselle? I'll have to Google her.
Okay. Ooh, that sounds dirty. I think she might be a little older than it. Once again, I'm going to go on record saying, she is far from the most beautiful woman in the world. She is really, really.
Some pictures I see that
no. They have you, brainwashed. She is not.
Maybe I want her to look
a classic. She's not a classic beauty. She's not a beauty at all. I don't know why.
Okay. I mean, look at these. I Google her and look at the pictures they bring up. It's like.
Are they pictures of Tom? Or?
No, her. Let's see. What's her?
Are you going to share?
Just a second.
Okay.
Trying to bring up the.
See? It's a little testy when Tom is the subject. It is. No. All right. I'm gonna give you a test. Google her sister. Her sister is her manager. You tell me which one is better looking.
Hold on. She was born in
He said born.
What? July 20th, 1980.
Down in
She's
Argentina.
37.
Yeah. Down where all the Nazis fled to. Argentina.
Yep. Brazil.
Brazil. Same thing.
Brazil. Yep.
A lot of Nazis went to Brazil too, Rob, right?
Argentina and Brazil.
There you go. They had a party down there, man. You know, they knew that no one was ever going to, no one from those countries was ever going to come and get them. They didn't, count on the Israelis coming and getting them.
Yeah.
They should have done that.
Wasn't part of the plan. Yeah.
Right. So, anyway, okay, what else is new there, Rob?
What should we talk about?
Well, let me add this real quick. Sorry to jump on you there. We asked the physicist your question. Basically, we boiled it down to, did he ever see antimatter being weaponized by the military? Is that a good condensing of the question?
Yeah.
Okay. He said no. He said he said it would be very hard to handle it. You know what I mean?
Hold on to it.
Hold on to it is how he said, and we gave him a rim shot for that.
Yeah, it was funny.
Anyway, then his dog barked and we couldn't hear. Luckily, we heard the punchline on that one. But he said that even if you had an antimatter bullet and you were somehow able to fire it out of something made of matter.
And it hit something, right?
And it hit something that was literally matter. What they say, they both they both annihilate each other. So it'd be a cool weapon, but how are you going to do it? How are you not going to annihilate the gun that you shoot it out of?
That is a problem. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. So anyway, that was his answer.
Okay. There was so I haven't listened to this segment, but there was also a possible relationship to what he was talking about with the some of the World War II German wonder weapons, super far out at the time, right. Fighter designs,
right.
Jet fighters. There's one of those I looked into.
Yes,
we can talk about that.
Yes.
Which was the. Are you familiar? You're familiar with this? It's the Horton.
Yes.
HO-229.
Right. Yeah. Brothers. Right. Horton brothers. Right. Designed it.
Yeah, there were two brothers, Reimar and Walter. Wow. You say Walter, probably. One of them actually fled to Argentina after the war and retired there.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What
died
a
there.
coincidence.
Owned a ranch.
Yes.
The other one stayed in Germany. But this was actually, the best way to start would be to describe it. It was a flying wing type aircraft, jet-powered, 2 jet engines. And a flying wing, if trying to visualize it, imagine a boomerang, or better, imagine the B-2 Spirit, the stealth bomber, the American, modern stealth bomber.
Yes.
It's one big curved wing.
Right.
And this was radical, for a jet fighter. I mean, these were brand new during World War II, and the Germans, Hermann Goering, the head of the Luftwaffe, went to the Horton brothers with a request to build an aircraft that could reach the United Kingdom with a heavy bomb load, about more than 2,000 pounds of bombs at the time, quite a lot. Travel over 600 miles to make the trip at a high speed. And this was later in the war, so the Luftwaffe was being, chewed up. It was being torn apart at that point. And so they wanted a fast, they wanted a fast jet bomber.
Right.
And the flying wing design allowed the plane to make the distance with the bomb load because the design reduces drag, so air resistance.
Right.
So you use less power to travel, and they built 3 of them. One of them was starting in 1944. They built 3 of them through 1945, and one of them was a static, ground test, unpowered model. The second one crashed during a test flight. The engine caught fire. Killed the pilot. The test pilot died. The third one survived. Was never used in combat and was later captured by the Allies, the Americans, and was quickly shuttled out of the country, and get it to the West, along with other Nazi technology and so on, to keep it out of the hands of the Soviets as well. Keep in mind.
I want to mention 2 things real quick. Okay, first of all, 3 things. If you see an artist rendition, the first artist rendition of what Kenneth Arnold saw that day that we were just talking about in Bruce's book, okay? If you see the first artist rendition, they look exactly like these Horton bombers that he's talking about, okay? I mean, over the years, the description has kind of changed a little bit. But if you look at one of those, you go, it's the same airplane. It can't be anything else, The
flying wing design is kind of what Bruce was describing.
It's kind of like it's like a crescent, shape. But there's a point at one end, And I don't know. I mean, don't you agree there, Rob, that the side by side they look almost the same?
Yeah, and where was this sighting, by the way?
Over Washington, over Mount Rainier.
That's interesting. I don't know. If it was the aircraft. I mean, it's an impossible question. I know that there was Project Sign, which was the Air Force, an Air Force UFO study in 1948. And so that was probably around the same time as the sighting,
47,
and,
June of 47.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so right after. And the study considered the possibility, at least, that some sightings that were going on then might have involved aircraft that were Soviet, that had been based on Horton's HO-229, other secret Nazi jet projects. Right. Yeah. But or we don't know. I mean, there's a lot of details are missing here about what happened to the surviving Horton. We know it wound up in the Smithsonian.
Right. Yeah. One of them, they survived, and they never achieved any kind of flight capabilities as these were seen. I mean, the conservative estimate is that these things were traveling 1,200 miles an hour. This is 1947. And, the reality is probably closer to 1,700 miles an hour.
Yeah, so the Horton could not have made that. I mean, it was 600 miles per hour maximum.
Right. If it even did fly type thing. Okay, so number 2, Juan-Juan has a bulletin here. I asked him when he was over here, drooling about Giselle. I think you'll like her only because she's married to Tom, frankly. I said to you,
I do like her. I'm not in love with her, but I do like her.
As my way of slapping you around, I said, she's not the prettiest woman in the world. And you made a face. And so I said, Google her sister.
Right.
And now,
I did.
Are you a believer?
Holy moly.
There you go. What do you need, folks? Here we go. He's passed me the visual evidence. Okay, there you go.
I didn't even. What's her name? I forget. I didn't even get past looking at the picture before.
I think her name is like Judy or something.
I think underneath the picture is her name.
She's her manager. It says Giselle in a black bikini with her sister.
That's it. I don't even know her name yet.
Yeah, right. But she's the power behind the throne, suppose. She runs all her business affairs. She's way better looking, man.
Yeah.
She's way better looking. I'm sorry. And she's got a better bud. She's in shape a little more. So I hope you're following along here, Ron. So that was number 2. And number 3, I forget what number 3 was. She's, she's attractive.
Oh, her name is Jackie.
Jackie. Oh, wow. Jackie, yeah. Ooh, look at that picture. Oh, not that picture. She's really cute.
Cover of Bizarre magazine.
Wow. I'm surprised that the Giselle let her picture be seen next to her, because everyone's going to say, wow, she's way better looking.
Yeah. I mean, Giselle looks pretty good in that picture.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good shot.
They work those pictures a lot.
Sisters in Style.
Yeah.
From
baby.
Jackie.
I saw that movie earlier. It's 20 minutes long.
Jackie O to Giselle. Or maybe her name isn't Jackie. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Jackie would be too good. Anyway, Rob, as the voice of the audience, you have any idea what we're talking about?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I have to Google it like Juan-Juan.
What would we do without Google?
I wonder whether we should go with this show tonight. Should we put the show out tonight? Because we had Bruce on
we talked about Tom Brady.
It's the Tom Brady show. Yeah. I don't know.
I've always asked myself when I get up in the morning, what would like to get up in the morning and be Tom Brady for a day?
What would TB do?
What would TB12 do?
What would TB12 do? Sorry.
Oh, I should have worn my TB12 hat.
Hey, listen, you're going to have a chance because you know why? This is really in the planning stages, but we can announce it now. Our September 19th show, I believe, is a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Juan-Juan, could you check that? Can you verify that?
It's the
19th.
Tuesday. Third Tuesday of the month.
We may do the show before a live audience.
Yeah.
Okay. You sound so enthusiastic.
Well,
you were dancing here.
I'm thinking about it now, and
because I jinxed you.
It
right?
depends on who's the live audience.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they're fans. They're gonna be fans.
Fans of the show.
One super fan
picked out from the fishbowl.
Well, Babs is going to be in town, right?
Oh yeah, Babs is going to be in town. Right?
We're going to have Willie and Willie Miranda. No relation to the Miranda rights. And our other
I wish
friend.
Babs would come in and sing for us too.
Maybe she will. They're going to be here.
Yep.
A couple winners of the fishbowl. They're the ones who brought it up, who suggested they're going to be here, and then we can have.
Have we vetted them? We made sure that they're.
Yeah, we're going to have someone. We're thinking to get my trans bodyguard to stand at the door. Wouldn't that be funny? He's an intimidating cat, you know. I mean, no one's going to, try to get in here with him. So we thought it would be an interesting show to have, some kind of fandoms here. Fans. So then you can really come in your Patriots regalia, right? Think about that.
Good.
So now you have, more than a month to think about what you're going to wear.
Okay.
I know it's going to take a while.
I'm shaking just thinking about it. I'm so excited.
Okay.
It's a good idea. I like that.
A live audience?
Yeah.
Rob, wouldn't it be cool if you did that and it was about, the Dallas Cowboys or something?
Here's the problem about the doing a live audience one. Okay.
Wow.
People don't see what happens between segments. We have a lot of
riffraff
going on. Michigas, I used to say. And
Magic Michigas.
Oddly enough, we've got some complaints about it from the neighborhood, which is very odd. I keep listening to when Pete came on. Remember, and he just all of us spilled the beans. Oh, I've heard a lot about you guys. He said there were three things.
Yep.
Flashing of lights. We're in a little building in downtown Newburyport. And people saw the lights flashing for some reason. I don't remember the lights flashing.
I don't remember.
I'm not saying that didn't happen.
Flashing the lights.
Women going in and out at all hours.
Yep.
He said that. Which,
of course.
Yep. Which, does happen.
Yep.
It just, anyway.
And
he
cigarette
said,
lighters going on and off.
It set a lot of smoke down near the front door. Okay, so, we're trying to improve our image, and it'd be very hard to do that in front of a live audience is what I'm
We could wear a tuxedo, walk in the building, and it would improve our image.
Right. All right. You know what? We haven't done many rim shots. I didn't want to give Dr. Bruce a rim shot. And I was going to ask him, of course, our old bit about anytime we have a doctor around, we asked him if they could write us a prescription for medical marijuana, right?
Right.
I don't think he would have got it.
No, I don't think so. I think he was focused on his presentation.
Right. Yeah, he was focused on the T's and the T's. Yep. Good guy, though.
Yeah.
So, Rob, in the 3 minutes we have left, let's delve into your personal life.
No.
One question number one.
I knew this was coming.
When you bought that cheap coffee there a couple weeks ago, was it a 50-pound can?
Well, it was the biggest one they had. So I'll say that.
It was a drum of coffee, a forklift.
Okay. Was it? Yeah, we have to know. Was it 30 pounds, 20 pounds?
Oh, I don't think it was measured in pounds, but it was, it was the biggest one on the shelf. I'll say that.
Is that how they measure coffee?
Like you can get chock full of nuts or what the other stuff that in these big cans, like Crisco
Jason
cans.
Sanborn.
Jason Sanborn.
Yeah, it was one of the big ones. I'm drinking the last of it right now. So.
Oh, the last of it. Okay, see, that's what we're trying to do.
8 o'clock
this
coffee.
Is a physicist night. We're trying to triangulate how much coffee you drink. So you bought it a week ago. It's the biggest
Well, it
can
was
they
more
have.
longer than that. It was maybe 2 weeks ago. Maybe.
Okay. You can't come up with a better measurement than it was the biggest can they had. I mean,
I mean, yeah, I could go down. I could get those. I can get the exact the measurements for you.
Can you estimate it?
I've got to go get it.
How much was it? How much
Mac, you can go to Sam's Club and get a can of generic coffee.
40 seconds left.
It's like 2 pounds of coffee.
How much was it? How much did you pay for it?
$5 or something like that.
Whoa. If it's 50, if it's the biggest can ever, it's 50 pounds, you only pay $5. I wouldn't drink it, frankly. Throw it away.
I've made better decisions, better coffee decisions. I'll say that much.
Do you take it black too? That
Yeah.
sound filthy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Juan-Juan insisted I did.
Where are the beans grown for this coffee? I'm just curious.
No idea.
Don't say Dallas.
No.
Okay.
Impossible.
Okay.
Guatemala, maybe.
There you go. It's nice
sure.
down there. You know, Costa Rica, that's where Tom Brady has a house. You know that? He has a house down in Costa Rica. He lives right next to it to George Clooney. And Nicholson, Jack Nicholson, also has a house down there. I'm not kidding you. We should have Phil Yebber in here. He could do all the voices of Brady's Davis, you know?
That's right. He could do voices of all of them together at a barbecue.
Yeah, see, I think he'd be a drip at a party. I think she'd want to be the life of the party type. Not the life, but she'd be the one, you know, everyone kind of is attracted to.
Sure.
I don't see him being entertaining, really.
No, he'd be pushing his TB12 supplements and avocado ice cream and
he eats avocado ice cream
and not eating anything that's nightshade.
That's what?
That's nightshade.
What do you mean?
They're tomatoes, peppers, that family.
Nightshade, isn't that a poison?
That's what I thought when he first mentioned it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Nightshade, tomatoes, and what else?
Peppers, things like that.
Oh, those things? Yeah, wow. Squash?
Sort of like viney things.
Yeah, right. He doesn't eat that stuff?
No, it's inflammatory.
To what?
In fact, Mrs. Juan-Juan is offered nightshade, too.
Oh, wow. Is this part of the...
She's adopting more of the Tom Brady diet than I am.
Wow. Oh, man, we got to do a story.
She even we have a jar of spirulina.
Okay.
We haven't opened it yet, though.
What is that? Really quick.
It's like pond scum, and you put it in smoothies. Right, Rob? Ever heard of spirulina?
Boy, okay. Can we change that?
I didn't know what that was.
Can we change that bet about Dallas?
It's grown on a surface of water.
He eats this stuff?
At a farm, yes.
And you bought a bottle of pond scum because Tom...
I did. I should have brought it in.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, this is way more serious than I thought.
How bad can it be if they actually sell it to the public?
I'm with Juan-Juan.
That's like the famous last words of a lot of people.
Look it up. Wow. Look it up. Spirulina.
Wow.
Don't be a picky eater.
The other day,
you have to have it with a smoothie, though.
The guy was bragging about the people who sold the pet rock. Imagine selling a rock, is what he said. Okay, imagine selling pond scum. That's freaking brilliant, man. How much was it?
I forget.
Oh, come on.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Was it $20?
I don't know. It wasn't crazy like that, but you can buy it at GNC's, health food
tell you something. If it's more than like a nickel, it's crazy priced. Yeah. It's pond scum there, dude. Think of all the little frog eggs in that thing that you're eating.
Well, it's grown in a controlled pond.
Oh, I'm sure.
A pond farm.
Just like spirulina farms. Okay. All right. It's like Evian water. It comes from a place in France named Evian. You know that?
Okay.
There is no place in France named Evian.
They just open a faucet.
They open a faucet down in Louisiana or something. But hey, listen, keep thinking that. It's a positive attitude. Don't worry.
It's the only way I can think.
There's no way that there ain't little frog eggs in there.
There might be. Whatever it is.
They're probably going to call it a new kind of caviar.
Keeps Tom Brady going.
Frog caviar.
And get pounded.
There you go.
Don't underestimate it.
Sounds filthy, but hey.
Right. Don't knock it if you haven't tried
it. There you go. Okay. It's time to say goodbye.
Really?
Yeah. If I did the math right, I think so. Yes.
Poor Rob has been bombarded with Patriots stuff all day.
That's okay. He's got $50. He's got $50 and he can buy 10 cans of the biggest can down there of coffee.
Okay.
If he wins.
But they have the good beans in the little hipster coffee shops, but it's so expensive.
Yes. Well, you know what? My hat's off to you for going and getting that, and not going to one of those hipster places.
I don't like the hipster places.
Some guy with a bun is going to tell you, you got to pay, $15 for,
once in a while I'll get a decent latte somewhere, at a nice cafe, like a mom and pop cafe, not the big corporate cafe.
Yeah. I was in a Starbucks once.
Yeah, I used to go a lot.
Yeah.
There's one up just near us,
Yeah, there's one right here. It's convenient, but wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much there, Rob.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to you next week about I don't know,
actually,
Russian submarines.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay.
2 weeks. Okay. All right. And listen.
Yeah.
Don't watch that Love Line on at 2 a.m. in the morning, man. It just screws you up. You know what I mean? Screws
right.
with your head.
I accept that now.
Okay. See, well, when we were able to, help the guy out, right?
We did.
Okay. Thanks.
It's a cool show, though.
Is it really? Yeah. Love Line, yeah. It's on at 2 a.m. though. Shouldn't you be doing other things at 2 a.m.?
People who need love are up that late.
All right. The internet now. We can listen to it. Whatever.
There you go. So. Yeah, listen to it. You got the internet. There's plenty of romance on the internet. Anyway, okay, Rob. Hey, see you later, and thanks for joining us. Thank you to Switchblade Steve for joining us, and also Dr. Bruce Maccabee. His book is 3 Minutes in June. Go on Amazon. It's a really good book. Sounds great. Can't wait to read it.
I almost thought when I read the title it was about my birthday.
Were you?
Because I was born in June, but it was 1948.
2 minutes, with 3 minutes over. Did it take 3 minutes? Did it? Oh, wow. Yeah,
I heard I came out pretty smooth.
Coco's right. You came out smooth. Yeah. Coco's right. It always has to be about you. Even the birth, even coming out.
I know.
Wow, Anyway, I can see a little Juan-Juan coming out with a little Patriots hat on. Anyway.
Okay, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
If you're still
Thanks for putting up with this mayhem.
All right. We're going to start taking up a collection for you, Rob. I swear to God.
We got to go down there and visit. We got to do a show from his place.
He'd rather send him the money. He'd go down to one of those. That's in Houston where there's other strip clubs. But I'm sure there's a strip club or two in Dallas, correct?
Texas.
Yes.
Yes. I got a feeling they do it right down there.
What's so weird is Texas seems so far away, but it's still only one time zone away, right?
There you go. Yeah. They're close to right. They're close to right time.
Do they have two time zones in Texas?
No.
Just the one, right?
No,
it's not like a split.
No.
Maybe in El Paso switch to Western, but I don't know.
Do they? Wow.
All right.
Or Mountain Time.
Yikes. Yeah, Mountain Time. No one ever hears of Mountain Time. It's kind of funny. Anyway, another show.
Mountain.
Thank you, Rob.
Yep, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Good night, Rob.
See you later. Juan-Juan, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Enjoyed every minute of it.
Hope Cobra had a good dinner with his Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
I
hope he files a report with us,
I hope he paid the bill. You know what I mean? He'd be the kind of guy who says, okay, let's split this here, Colonel.
No, was he doing a speech, too?
We kid because no, I think he's just
being there.
Yeah, just being there. So, to all our listeners, thanks very much for listening to this segment, this episode of Mack Maloney's Military X-Files Show. And we will be back, for you in a week or so. And looking forward to Mitch Stinson sitting in with us for the night. And we're going to be talking about different kinds of, not veterans affairs, but, stories about veterans who really helped this country.
Right.
Really looking forward to that. So until then, this is Mack Maloney for the gang and for Juan-Juan. Actually, I say for Juan-Juan and the gang.
Yes.
Until next time, be safe, be happy, and...
Bye-bye.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really? Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.